Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a major cool down for portions of the eastern and central United States. We're going to be going over how cold those temperatures will be, as well as who could be seeing snowfall between now and the next 45 or so days. We're going to be going over all of that and more in today's video, so make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. I also want to point out that my fourth winter forecast released yesterday, so go make sure that you go check that out. And I included my temperature anomaly forecast, precipitation anomaly forecast, and snowfall anomaly forecast for the entire winter. So make sure you are going and checking that out after you watch this video. So here's the current National Weather Service page. We have winter weather advisories for parts of Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, as well as some fire weather watches in that kind of beige, that light beige shade over parts of Nebraska and Wyoming, as well as portions of Minnesota and North Dakota. Extreme fire danger risks for parts of South Dakota there, and then we also have those red flag warnings scattered for parts of the plains, as well as portions of Utah there. We also have some air quality alert in effect for parts of central California, northern Colorado, parts of Wyoming, and also for Texas, with some dense fog advisories in effect for parts of Illinois, Kansas, Texas, and Louisiana, as well as portions of Oregon there. And then we have some high wind warnings in effect for parts of Montana and Wyoming, as well as some wind advisories, which are for parts of eastern Kansas, Utah, Idaho, and parts of eastern Montana. We also have some flash flood watches in effect for portions of Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina there. So it's a very active day in terms of watches and warnings, especially for the western half of the United States. Now, here are your 2-meter temperature anomaly forecasts from the GFS ensemble model, a combination of about 31 models put all together and then averaged out. Now, this is showing you how cold or warm compared to normal it is going to be over the United States. Now, the blues, the greens, the purples indicating below normal temperatures, while the oranges, the yellows, the reds, even the browns are indicating above normal temperatures for that region of the United States. We're going to be playing out this cold front and cold air mass that's going to be moving through much of the eastern half of the U.S. And then we're also going to look at the European ensemble after that, the Climate Prediction Center's forecast, and then we'll look at who could potentially be seeing snowfall over this time frame. Now, here would be for Wednesday, October 14th in the morning time, and we're looking at a cold front moving through parts of the eastern United States. Behind there is some cold air, ahead of there is some warmer air, but that's not really going to be our big push of cold air. What's really going to be the main driving force of this cold air is this big upper level low that's sitting over parts of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and parts of Alberta, Canada, and that is going to be dipping into the United States and unleashing some very cold air for much of the eastern half or 2/3 of the United States. Now, here would be for October 15th, Thursday, and we're looking at that cold air now infiltrating the United States. Now, we're seeing this cold air really for parts of the upper Great Lakes, the northern plains, the Rockies, as well as even portions of the northwest there. And in the greens and the lighter greens, that's where we're getting into more advanced stages of that cold air. Now, here would be for October 16th, Friday, and we're looking at cold air now all the way down throughout parts of the eastern United States, except for the East Coast, still dealing with that warm air. But for the rest of the country, you are dealing with some very cold air, and that goes all the way up into northern Canada. You can't see it on this map, but you have a cold air mass that's dipping and has connection all the way from the North Poles and into the Arctic Circle down into the United States, and that is funneling that extremely cold air into that part of the country. Now, here would be for October 17th, that cold air mass still over parts of the eastern 2/3, but it is moving a little bit further to the east. But meanwhile, in parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, we're looking at some more cold air reinforcement kind of linking up with this other cold air mass, which is over parts of the eastern Great Lakes by this point. Now, that cold air mass to the north is going to dip down and replace this cold air mass, which is eventually going to move out. Now, what you're going to notice with this one is that on the European ensemble, the east coast stays very warm, while on the GFS ensembles, the east coast does get into that cold air. That's really the main difference, as well as the timing. That's the two things that are really different in these two different forecasts. Now, Let's play this through a little bit more. Here would be by October 18th, Sunday morning, and we're looking at that cold air kind of lingering around, but it is starting to push away to the east. But you're starting to see some more cold air reinforcement over parts of the northern plains. Now, let's play this through a little bit more. Here would be by the 19th, and here would be by the 20th of October. And now we're seeing a third area of cold air reinforcing over parts of northern and central Canada. And then we have another one that was up in this region of Canada, but it now dipped down into the Great Lakes and the Tennessee Valley by this point. So in those purples, that's where you're dealing with extremely cold temperatures. All of this, by the way, is in Celsius, so you kind of have to multiply this by 2 to find your Fahrenheit temperature anomalies. And that's generally a good estimate with temperature anomalies. Multiply the number by 2, and that's usually what your temperature anomalies will be. That's a good rule of thumb. Now, here would be for October 21st, and we're looking at that cold air still seeping into the eastern United States, and you are starting to see it move a little bit further to the east, but still, generally anywhere east of the Rockies is where you're going to be seeing that cold air, and we're starting to see this break up with the air mass further to the north. We're starting to see them separate a little bit, and that is going to be in this air mass to the north is going to be reinforcing this air mass to the south right here. So let's play this through even more. Now here would be October 22nd, we're looking at this cold air kind of diminishing a little bit, but it's still stalling over the southeastern United States. Here would be by October 23rd, and it's now restricted to just parts of the eastern third of the United States, and that's mainly because of ridging, which is now taking place over parts of the eastern and parts of the central United States, and that will be pushing this cold air further and further to the north, especially in the longer term. Now, here would be for October 24th, and here would be for October 25th as we're getting very far out, and then here would be October 26th, and we're still seeing some lingering cold air, but it has really died down by this point. Now here would be the European ensemble model, and let's look at what this is showing. Now the European ensemble model starts the cold air a little bit further to the west than what the GFS ensemble model does. We have cold air over western Canada instead of central Canada like what the GFS had. So let's play this through. Now here would be for October 15th, and we're looking at that cold air now moving over parts of the northern plains. That matches up with what the GFS ensemble model had, where over parts of the northern Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and parts of the Rockies and Northwest, we had some cold air by this point. Here would be by the 16th, still very similar to what the GFS ensemble model had. The European ensemble model, by the way, is a combination of about 51 models, so this is an averaged out look at 51 different models. Here would be by October 17th, and we're looking at that cold air still for portions of the eastern third of the United States, but look at where you're reloading this cold air. It's now reloading over parts of western Canada instead of portions of more of central Canada and even lingering into eastern Canada. So now that polar connection is shifted to the west, which means that your cold air is going to be driven a little bit further to the west. So areas closer to the eastern United States, areas closer to the coastal regions will not get into much of that cold air according to the European ensemble model, and of course a lot of that still can change. Now, here would be by October 18th. Look at where this cold air was. Unlike what the GFS ensemble model had, where the cold air was located over this part of the country when it was reloading, now you're seeing that cold air starting to move back into parts of the northern plains and the Rockies. So that's the big difference. And you're seeing more ridging over parts of the southwest and the south central United States. So we do have quite a bit of pattern changes that are occurring just within the models by this point. Here to be by October 19th, that cold air over parts of the eastern and central United States, and really going for parts of the northern plains and the northern Rockies. The area of cold air is starting to shift a little bit further to the east, but you still see that warm air along both coasts, and further to the south is where you're seeing that cold air. Now here would be for October 20th. We're looking at that cold air still for the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and the central plains. And then if we move this forward, the cold air kind of lingers. So you're seeing that warm air lingering for the east coast. You're seeing the cold air inland really expanding for those regions where you have a very cold air mass over the northern plains. and that is spreading all the way just barely to the coast. And then we're gonna see, if we play this through a little bit, you're gonna see that cold air just sits there, so it really doesn't make any progress to the east, which I don't find too likely. It's not likely that we see with such a fast moving pattern like we have right now, a air mass just sitting over that over one region. We have to see some sort of air masses kind of moving around each other, and we just don't see that with this model. So I just don't think that's too likely of a scenario. If this is pushed a little bit further to the east, you are going to see a lot more of a fast moving pattern where you're going to see systems moving in and out again. So you're going to see a lot more systems moving through. If you have more of this pattern, it's going to be more of a stale, just cold pattern. Now, if we play this through just a little bit more, here would be by the 23rd, the 24th, and here would be by the 25th, and not a lot changes within the model throughout that 5-day time frame. Now, here would be the 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. We're looking at between the 16th and the 20th, quite a bit of cold air over parts of the eastern two-thirds of the U.S., and then here would be for the 18th to the 24th, and you see that the Climate Prediction Center is following off of the European ensemble model guidance, where it has some warmer temperatures for the east coast, and then we see that colder than normal temperatures for further areas inland. So you have to get a few hundred miles inland to actually get into some of that cold air. Now here would be the climate forecasting system, the CFS, and what it's showing, and we're looking at from the this would be from the 18th to the 25th. We're looking at cold air over the eastern third of the U.S. And by the way, the CFS has a warm bias, meaning it likes to show more warm air than there would actually be. Now here would be from the 25th to November 1st, and we're looking at that cold air still sitting over the eastern third of the U.S. And then here would be for November 1st to November 8th, and we're looking out over the southeast. That's the only area where that cold air is lingering. Now here's the snowfall forecast for those of you who are interested. Usually when you get above that 2-inch area in that blue or the purples or the pinks, that's where you have a decent likelihood of seeing snowfall, and this is going through October 27th, and how much snowfall this model is forecasting. This is a GFS ensemble. Here is the European ensemble 45-day outlook, and if you have more than, I would say, about an inch or two, I would say you have a fairly good likelihood of seeing some snowfall, and this is again averaged out over 51 different models. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys all did enjoy, and if you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.